Magandang araw! Welcome po sa isang special episode on the stock market today. Ngayon po ay April 28, 2023. Sa special episode na ito, tatalakayin po natin ang mga tanong ninyo tungkol sa Metro Pacific. At ang una po ay anong mangyayari po sa Metro Pacific kung mag-delist? Anong mangyayari po sa aking stocks kung hindi ko po ibenta? Dapat ko bang ibenta ito o hindi? Huwag kayong alis dahil babahagi ko sa inyo ang aking palagay sa mga katanungan yan. Huwag kayong alis. Metro Pacific to the list after 48.8 billion tender offer. So ang tender offer po niya ay 4.63 per share and it will commence next month up to June. Yun po. At may mga tanong po tayo sa Metro Pacific. Abangan niyo po yan. Meron po tayong mga subscribers na meron tanong at sasagutin po natin yan. New consortium proposes 100 billion na IA upgrade. So tingnan po natin itong Metro Pacific, one of our main news. MPI is planning to voluntarily delist from the Philippine Stock Exchange after receiving a tender offer notice from a consortium consisting of First Pacific Company Limited, GT Cap, and Japan Mitsui and Company Limited to buy 36.6% ownership of minority shareholders amounting to 48.4 billion or 4.63 per share. Yung minority shareholders po, ito po yung tayo, yung public. Under the tender offer, which will commence next month up to June, MPHI and GT Cap would spend around $90 million and $70 million respectively, while Mitsui will acquire 20% of the company as a new shareholder. The bidders feel that the intrinsic value of MPI's core investments in infrastructure in the Philippines has not been fully reflected in MPI's share price for some time. Ito po yung sinasabi nating undervaluation, no? Na ang presyo po ni BDO6 ay 6 pesos something, ano? Tingnan natin si MPI conglomerate. Metro Pacific, 560 po ang kanyang presyo or fundamental price. So tuloy po natin to. The tender offer and the successful delisting will allow MPI's minority shareholders to realize a significant premium over historical share prices of MPI, the consortium said in a joint statement. Okay, I just saw this today and may I share this with you, and this is very interesting. So MPI announces tender offer and files for delisting. Ito po'y galing ng Philstar. So basically, yung presyo po niya is 463 per share and the goal is to obtain enough shares to delist MPI from the PSE. Kasi for MPI to delist, 2/3 of the outstanding shares must vote in favor of delisting, with no more than 10% of the outstanding shares voting against delisting. So the goal of the consortium is to obtain enough shares to push their combined ownership level above 90% to defeat any possible rejection of the delisting measure by the shareholders. So in other words, yung boto ay 2/3 with no more than 10%. So kailangan maka-obtain sila ng 90%, more than 90% ownership level. So at least 90.0.1. Yan. Ngayon, yung presyo. The price of 463 per share is naturally getting a lot of attention. And it is an 8% premium over MPI's Wednesday's closing price of 426. A 13% premium over MPI's price on January 20, when the rumor started circulating around of a potential delisting, and a 47% premium on the 52-week low at 314 per share. Now, ang problema kasi is that ang book value ni Metro Pacific is 697. Kung paniniwalaan po natin to, no? Pero based dito sa fundamentals ni VideoSec, ang fundamental price po ni Metro Pacific is at 560. Now, sabi dito, the book value is the difference between the company's assets and its liabilities. So it's a crude back-of-the-envelope assessment of what the company might be worth if we were chopped up and sold piece by piece as part of some liquidation or dissolution. So 697 per share pala ang book value. How does the tender offer work? It's basically a standing offer by the consortium to buy any and all shares of MPI for a set price during a specific window of time. If the terms and the conditions of the tender offer are met, ito po yung minimum number of shares have accepted the tender offer, then payment for the tendered shares is made all at once at the end of the offer period. Any shareholders that accept the terms of the tender offer can revoke their acceptance at any time during the offer period. Ownership of the underlying shares doesn't pass to the consortium until payment has been made at the close of the tender offer period. In other words, pwede mong tanggapin ang tender offer, but you can also change your mind during the tender offer period. Easy profit? Not so fast. There are plenty of large brokerage publicly grumbling about this offer. Called Financial Heads Research April Tan said, the beauty of the offer is that MPI will not privatize if a big portion of the minority shareholders doesn't accept the tender offer. Her recommendation? Do not tender. Her all caps yelling, not mine. So si April Tan pala ng Call Financial, ayaw niyang i-tender offer. AB Capital said that the listing is far from guaranteed due to the consensus of a breakup value of MPI closer to 5 or 650 per share, and further muddying the waters by bringing up First Philippine Holdings failed the listing to fellow Lopez family company, Lopez Holding Corporations, back in 2001. If the tender offer results fail to satisfy the conditions of the tender offer, then it is possible that the tender offer could be withdrawn. That could have considerable negative impact on MPI's price. Ngayon, what happens if MPI does delist? This is where the fun starts. It is important to note that in the event of a tender offer is successful and MPI does delist, any shareholders that did not sell their shares into the tender offer will still keep their MPI shares. Nothing will change with respect to ownership. In other words, stockholder ka pa rin ng MPI. The delisting process only makes the shares untradeable on the PSE system. In other words, illiquid ka, hindi mo matitrade yan. Mahirap i-trade, maghahanap ka ng seller kung gusto mo magbenta. Shareholders can pay banks and brokerages to conduct a private sale, though doing so is obviously going to be far more costly and time-consuming. If MPI does leave the PSE, it will also leave the PSEI, meaning the PSE index, which means that a new company will need to be selected to fill the gap left by MPI's delisting. Speculation is already in overdrive about which stock will be selected, with the early front runners being Bloomberry, Nickel Asia, and Century Pacific. Okay, what next? We need to wait for the formal tender offer report to be submitted by the consortium, which will outline the terms of the tender offer, including the specific offer period and any conditions that would adjust the likelihood of success or failure. Most importantly, it will provide insight into the fairness opinion that was conducted as the basis for this offer. If you remember back to the to-go delisting, the tender offer report contained the entire fairness opinion and explained in detail how the valuations were calculated. For the to-go delisting, the fairness opinion used 3 different valuation methods and arrived at 3 different valuation ranges, with the final tender offer price of $14.64 per share being the highest of the 3 valuation ranges. So hopefully, higher than 463, knowing that the book value daw ay 697 per share and the valuation per BDO securities is at 560 per share. So sana po ay naliwanagan po tayo dito. So if you choose not to sell your shares, you are still a stockholder of the company. Pero dadaan ka sa corset. Maghahanap ka ng seller. Yun lang po ang downside. Okay, in relation to that, ay sagutin po natin o may mga comment po dito ang ating mga subscriber. Ang una po ay yung kahapon, si Chito Gomez. And ang sabi niya po, good day, trading halt of MPI due to a tender offer leading to its delisting. Do us investors have a choice? My cost is higher than the tender offer. How will we know if the value once delisted, or how do we sell it then? Is it better to accept the tender offer price or to take the hit? Salamat po. Ang answer ko yesterday was that wala kang choice. But actually, Chito, in retrospect and upon thinking about your question, meron po kayong choice. The next item is yung kay Peter Yu, no? Anong mangyayari sa mga holders ng MPI, sir, kapag ma-delist? Hindi ba ma-trade? Okay, this is my reply to both Chito and Peter Yu. Una kay Peter Yu, no? Pagka nag-delist po si MPI, wala ka ng market. Wala ka ng liquidity. Bakit? Kasi wala ka na sa stock exchange. Hindi na siya publicly traded. So it will be, MPI will be a privately held company, not public, privately held company na kapag holder ka ng share, hindi mo agad mabebenta. Ibig sabihin, wala ka pong liquidity. Wala po tayong liquidity. So yung sagot ko yesterday kay Chito Gomez was, wala kang choice, but actually meron po. Ang choice mo is not to sell your shares. Diba? Pero, ano mangyayari kung hindi mo sinell yung shares mo? Ano mangyayari kung sa 463, hindi mo tinanggap yon? Sabi mo, ay, napakababa yan, talo ko dyan. So, what will happen then? Una, yung sagot ko po dun sa una nating tanong kay Peter Yu, na hindi mo siya mate-trade. Maghahanap ka ng seller kung gusto mong magkaroon ng pera or liquidity. Kung gusto mo nang ibenta yung shares mo, hindi mo agad-agad mabebenta yan. Wala kang liquidity. Pangalawa, kung gusto mong ibenta yan, hindi ka nadadaan sa broker. Wala nang broker yan dahil hindi na siya publicly traded. Ang mga stocks lamang na publicly traded at listed sa PSE ang merong broker. And doon ka magta-transact through your broker, whether face-to-face or online. Okay? Pero kung nag-delist na si Metro Pacific at hindi ka nagbenta doon sa kanyang tender offer, stockholder ka pa rin ng Metro Pacific. But if the time comes na gusto mo nang ibenta yung shares na yan, hindi mo kagad mabebenta, maghahanap ka ng seller ng shares mo. Yun ang isang problema. Pangalawang problema, hindi naman problema, but instead of going to the broker to sell your shares, you will have to go through the corporate secretary of Metro Pacific. Yun po yung merong custody ng shares ng mga stockholders ng Metro Pacific. Yun po. Hindi na po dadaan ng PSE yan. Sa CORSEC or Corporate Secretary na po ng Metro Pacific. So medyo madugo. Kung meron kayong hawak na shares at gusto nyo ibenta, hindi nyo agad-agad mabebenta yan. Unlike now, na publicly held pa siya, pwede mo siyang ibenta anytime. In fact, ang recommendation ko nga po sa inyo, kung kailangan nyo ng, well, it is a good opportunity now to give up all your shares. Kahit na po at a loss, no? At a loss. Kasi at least meron kang liquidity. But if you will hold on to your shares, ang mangyayari niyan is that may hirapan po kayong magbenta in the future should you decide to sell your shares. Yun po. Nasabi ko po is that dadaan ka muna sa CORSEC or maghahanap ka muna ng seller, at pag agree na po kayo ng presyo doon with the seller, then pupunta kayo ng CORSEC in order to make that transaction. CORSEC ng Metro Pacific. CORSEC meaning Corporate Secretary. No, sa opisina po ng Metro Pacific yan, hanapin niyo po yung Corporate Secretary niya. Yun po yung merong custody ng shares. Malinaw po? So, sa akin po, my recommendation is to sell your shares at to avoid that hassle of selling your shares later on na baka hindi pa kayo makakita ng seller. No? At too much hassle po yun at abala on selling your shares, unlike now na publicly held pa siya na pwede nyo siyang ibenta, or antayin nyo po yung tender offer na 463. Doon po kayo magbenta. Okay po? So, yun po. So, in the meantime, tingnan po natin si Metro Pacific. Siya po ay nasa 445. At ang presyo po niya na binebenta, I think 463 is the price na tender offer. And sana po tumaas pa po ng konti to reflect naman the fundamental price. But 463 is already a good price dahil kung titignan po natin si Metro Pacific, its 52-week high was 462. Dito po niya na-achieve noong February 14, 462. And the last time it had that price was December 2020 pa. Noong nag-459. At noong September 2019, nag-505 or 516 po si Metro Pacific. So nagdidip po siya hanggang ngayon. But it is already a good opportunity to sell your stocks. Yan po ang aking recommendation. Of course, it's your choice. Wala po kong magagawa kung ayaw niyo po ibenta. Pero yan po ang sinasabi ko sa inyo, hassle po magbenta kung delisted na po si Metro Pacific. So marami po salamat, Chito Gomez and Peter Yu, sa inyong tanong at sana'y naliwanagan po kayo.